Alright, so here we're gonna have a quick review of the Yanyin Carmen. This is an $850 10BA IEM by Yanyin, and yeah, let's get into this. First of all, I want to say it is a very interesting box, but this is very cheap feeling cardboard. Everything feels like the packaging material feels like it's not even supposed to make it to your house in one piece. So I don't know why they chose such cheap material for such an expensive IEM. But I mean, it's a cool way of packaging, but the box is not good quality. All right, take this out here. Take the IEMs out. Trying not to damage the box. Come on, there we go. Open this up. You have the tips, the cable, which we'll talk about in a second. Underneath, which you slide this also out like that. You have a microfiber bag, microfiber cloth, quality assurance card, I believe, and this VIP card that some IEMs tend to like to include in their sets. So I'll just move all this to the side. It is a shame that you do not get a hard carry case for an IEM this expensive. I usually would just expect that, but they did not include one, which is kind of a shame. Anyway, now let's talk about the cable real quick. I have to say I love this cable. This is a fantastic cable. It is exactly what you should expect in an IEM of this price category. At $850, I expect a good cable, and they delivered, and my camera should focus, please. Thank you. This is also a gorgeous IEM. Talk about that in a second, but yeah, this cable is wonderful. It doesn't tangle. It is a little bit thick, so if you don't like thick cables, please, camera, please, thank you. If you don't like thick cables, this is not going to be for you, I guess, but this is a very nice, good quality cable, great connectors, everything feels high quality and high end. Very amazing cable. I really like the cable that comes with this set. Alright, let's put the cable off to the side here. Let me move the camera a little bit closer down so it actually focuses on things. Alright, another thing I want to talk about real quick before we get into the sound and comfort and all that is the tips. The tips that come with these it comes with 3 sets, small, medium, large. Here are the smalls. These are really important for this set. I feel like I've tried like a lot of different tips, and I couldn't get any of them to sound the same as you do with the stock tips. And the stock tips kind of are necessary with this set. I really only enjoyed this set of IEMs with its stock tips, and they're quite unusual tips. I haven't seen tips like this. The closest I've seen to this is, can this please focus? Wow, my camera really doesn't like me today. Is the W1 tips by SpinFit, kind of similar to that, but these have a little bit denser core. But either way, they are comfortable tips and they are good quality tips. It's just that I feel like they're necessary for this set of IEMs, and so if you lose them or damage them, yeah, that wouldn't be good. Anyway, so yeah, that's it about the tips. Let's get on to the IEMs themselves. Alright, so let's talk about the IEMs themselves. These are a little bit chunky. I mean, they're not massive, but being 10BA, it's kind of expected. They are a little bit big, but they are still very comfortable to my ears at least. The tips also tend to run on the larger side. Like, for example, this is the small. It is a little bit big, but my ears are also particularly small, and they're not like unreasonably large. Like, for example, the SR8 is larger. Let me get the right side here. There we go. So the SR8 is larger by a decent amount, and here's the EJ07 for another comparison here. Come on, there we go. So it's not exactly massive, but it's still pretty chunky. Overall, the comfort wasn't really an issue, and yeah, I think they're also really gorgeous. I really like the design on this. I like the half purple with like the glittery marks on it or whatever. I really do like how these look. I think they designed it really well. It's contoured really well to the inner ear. So overall, no issues on that front. Overall, I think these are a really good looking set of IEMs. And yeah, so now let's talk about the sound. Just readjust my camera here real quick. All right, so let's go bass mid. Well, first let's talk about the general sound signature of this. This is a darker leaning set of IEMs. It's a darker leaning set with a pretty good bass emphasis. So let's start with the bass, goes to the mids and the highs. The bass is fantastic. I know a lot of people, they criticize all BA sets. They say bass on all BAs terrible. Don't trust it. Don't touch it. Awful. Trust me when I tell you, these have fantastic bass. It hits deep. It's got really good texture, really good decay. It's some of the best bass I've heard on an IEM, which is actually why I have the SR8 here, because also an all BA set that does bass really well. And I think these almost beat out the bass on the SR8. Not quite, because this is still probably one of the best bass I've heard on a set of IEMs, period. But we'll talk about that. And so, yeah, but the bass overall on here, it hits hard. It's got great decay. It's got good texture. It's got a really large sense to it. It's very big sounding, like kind of like a subwoofer almost in terms of how it's like presented in the track. It's got a large presence, but it's still not overwhelming. It doesn't overwhelm the mids or the treble, but it is very emphasized and very present. Now let's go on to the mid-range. The mid-range is smooth, it's clear. I won't say the timbre is perfect. It's still got a ever so slight tinge of BA timbre. It's barely noticeable, only noticeable really on an A/B test, which, by the way, this has like no BA timbre. I would literally confuse this with a single DD, I swear. But so this doesn't have exactly that as much coherence in the sound as the SR8 does, but it's still very, very smooth, especially for an all BA set with 10 drivers, and it's got a decent amount of detail, but it's not the most detailed mid-range you find in the price point. It's good detail though. This is more of a fun sounding set to me though. I wouldn't see this very analytical. It's warm, it's bassy, it's very fun sound. It's a very fun sound. It's not for analyzing music. You're not like really seeking the details out, though it is more detailed than, you know, a cheaper set. This is still got good detail for the price. There is still a lot of IEMs out there in this price range that do outbeat it in terms of detail in the mid-range. Vocals are not pushed back, but they're not forward either. They're really pretty much in the middle. Maybe ever so slightly pushed back female vocals, but very barely. Really, vocals still have a good presence in the track. Very good presentation in terms of vocals. Instruments are fantastic here as well. Overall, fantastic mid-range. Going to the treble. The treble is now where it'll be iffy for some people. It depends on the type of person you are. If you want really like great treble extension, very bright sound is not for you. As I said, this is a dark set. This is a warm set. It's a dark, warm IEM. So it does roll off the treble pretty early, but you do still get a good quality treble. It's a well-controlled treble. I have never dealt with sibilants on this set, and overall you can rely on this set not being harsh on your ears, but still having a good amount of treble presence. It still sounds beautiful. I like the treble on this set. Me personally, I'm relatively sensitive to treble, so this is a really good presentation of the treble for me. I really like the treble on this, but I know some people that really want that treble emphasis. They really want that treble, you know, extension. They really want a large push in the treble, but this won't give you that. This won't give you that. It still does treble very well, but I think the really main focus on this set is the bass and also a little bit the mid-range. The mid-range has also a really good presence in the track. I also wanted to say, the reason that I have the EJ07 here as well, because it's another comparison I want to make with this set, is the imaging. Now I'm going to talk about imaging soundstage for a second. Stage-wise, it's a good stage. It's not wide, but it's definitely wider than the SR8, and it's about the same width as the EJ07. And the main reason I brought the EJ07 out here is because this has such a reminiscent presentation in terms of imaging as the EJ07. It's not quite as good, and the EJ07 does have better detail retrieval, especially in the treble with those ESC drivers probably. But it has a really similar presentation, to the point where this is actually why I bought the EJ07 again, because I was like, I keep thinking about the EJ07 every time I think about like what's the best imaging I've heard, and so I bought one. And yeah, this is really close in terms of its imaging presentation, which is really impressive. EJ07 really is one of the best imaging sets, and this gets really close to that. Far better imaging than the SR8. And overall, really better imaging than a lot of sets in this price point, in the under $1,000 price point. So it's got great imaging, good detail, decent stage. It's not the widest stage. It's around EJ07, so maybe like around here, when the SR8 is kind of more of an in-your-head experience. Now I'm going to do more direct comparisons between these sets and the Yanyin Carmen. the bass. Okay, let's start with the bass. There's obviously a much bigger bass emphasis on the Carmen over the EJ07. The EJ07 is not a bassy track, a bassy IEM. This has a very big hit, very large presence, when the SR8, it's more tactile, and it's a heavy hitter. More the bass hits harder, but I feel like it has less decay than the Yanyin Carmen. The bass lingers longer on the Carmen, but it doesn't hit as hard. I think I personally prefer the bass on the SR8, but it's a really close call. It's a really close competition between the SR8 and the Carmen in terms of which bass I like more. They're both fantastic bass sets. The bass on the EJ07 is good, but it's not pronounced, and the quality is just not as good as these two, in my opinion. It's good bass, but it's not really the star of the show, and it's not also the best in terms of quality and the price point. Going on to mid-range, I mean, that's where the EJ07 shines here. It's not really a fair fight because this really pushes its mid-range forward. And it also just has a very, very crystal clear, heavy detailed mid-range on the EJ07. Really fantastic mid-range here. It's not as these are not as good as that, but they are both very good still. I mean, I'll say that the Carmen and the SR8 are very close in terms of mid-range quality, but I give the edge to the SR8. The SR8 just has a smoother sounding, more natural sounding vocal presence, and also has a little bit better detail in instruments and also in vocals from my experience. I think that this still has a little bit better in terms of mid-range detail, but this does have a bit of warmth in the vocals that the SR8 does not have. Going on to treble now. Trebles, where these are all very varied. The treble performance on the EJ07 is the best. It is the highest quality. Quantity-wise, I'd say this has the most treble here. It's still not like a heavy amount of treble, and this is still more of a bass head IEM, but the most treble goes probably to the SR8, followed by the EJ07, then after that the Carmen in terms of amount. In terms of quality, I'd say that these probably are tied for the quality of treble, both very good quality treble. Maybe slight edge to the SR8, but still very good on here, and then EJ07 is the best in terms of treble quality. But amount of, like, I say, this is a darker set, and it is more comfortable to listen to. If you're tired and you don't want to deal with heavy detail pushing the treble, I feel like the Carmen is a really relaxing sounding set in that regard. It does still have a very energetic bass performance, very fun sound, but you feel comfortable knowing that the treble's never gonna poke at your ears when you use the Carmen. While with these, every once in a while on certain tracks, especially poor recorded ones, the treble can get a slight peak in them. More on the SR8 than on the EJ07, but still on the EJ07 as well on poor recorded tracks. Where on the Carmen, if you're listening to a poorly recorded track, I almost don't notice because it's got a very rich, deep, thick sound without sounding muddy. This really does warm sound really well. If I wanted a warm set, this is what it is. This is what I would take. It does a rich, warm, deep sound, while these have a little bit less note weight and a little bit less thickness to them, but have more detail, more precision in really throughout the range, except the bass on here is probably more detailed than the bass on the EJ07. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. Overall, can I recommend the Carmen? Absolutely. I have tried the Rosemary by Yanyin as well, and I just don't think it was as good as this is. So if you're wondering this or the Rosemary, I prefer this set over the Rosemary. They both will be on my ranking list in the description, but yeah, I really do like this set. I really can recommend it. It's an absolutely fantastic set for the price. It's got a unique sound with fantastic imaging. Overall, great quality bass, mids, and highs. Everything is done well. Great cable overall. I can absolutely recommend the Yanyin Carmen. That's about it. See ya.